Hello everyone, we are Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Eric, it's time to talk about superhero movies.
Just all the superhero. The topic is going to be the superhero movies.
Yeah, we've never done that before.
Topic.
You know, yeah, it's pretty niche.
Geeks Not Nerds. Talk superheroes.
Superhero movies. Superhero movies.
So we're going to go all the way back to like Greek plays about Greek gods.
Yeah.
Does that count as the first superhero movie?
I mean, you can mention that. I think it's important. I think it's more of like a proto thing. I don't think it's, really counts as a superhero movie, but I guess. Okay, here's the question: does Zorro count as a superhero?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, that would make.
Didn't you do Mask of Zorro on?
I did, but I did it during the proto unit.
I agree with that. I also think the Phantom is straight up a superhero.
And I said in that, like, I can kind of see it, both ways. But here's the thing: there is a Zorro silent film.
Is that the one that's not the one with Tyrone Power, right?
I don't remember, but like I think, what is that? Is it Mask of Zorro, or is it Mark of Zorro?
I think both of them are very old. Like I think there was a Mask of Zorro and a Mark of Zorro, but I don't know which one.
But I think Mark is first. I watched it in the silent film course.
I think that is the one that Bruce Wayne's supposed to be seeing.
Oh,
with Tyrone Power.
No, you know what? That's right. Mark of Zorro. But I don't remember the Tyrone Power thing. But I know Mark of Zorro is the movie that he saw. I'm just trying to remember if it was the first. I'm pretty sure that was the first silent film. But anyway, if you count Zorro as a superhero, that is Zorro in his purest form, then that is the first superhero movie.
There was some Batman thing somewhere where he's looking at like a trailer for that movie, and that the announcer's like, tonight Zorro with Tyrone Power, and that's all.
Because of course there are serials.
Yeah.
But I'm talking feature films, and so then after that, the first feature is probably the first black and white Superman movie.
Yes. I think you're right.
Not Mole Men, but the other one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Where's Mole Men?
Where's Mole Men first? It's been a while. I forget now.
Sure.
That is not the topic, though. Eric, the topic for today is how long do superhero movies stay on top?
Oh, because we were having this conversation recently.
Yeah, and I think we need to talk about this on camera.
Sure.
Because we're at this weird crossroads place where it's difficult to tell what's going to happen with Marvel moving forward. I think it's really interesting that if they have a slate of films moving forward that they know for sure they're making, they're not telling us what a lot of it is. Mm-hmm. Or they're not telling us at least exactly when they're coming out. It's interesting that, Phase 2 was like, here's everything coming out for the next, 5-6 years.
Which, in some ways, I think some people thought was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because there were no surprises. But we're in a very weird place right now where we don't know what's coming out next year.
And that just makes you wonder, how far in advance they're planning, and if they really have their ducks in a row. Mm. And I'm not saying that they do or they don't, but it's a question. And then it's just before, when we were moving toward Avengers, and then we were moving toward Infinity War, it always felt like it was definitely a well-oiled machine, and you couldn't imagine it falling apart, and people would lose interest and stop going to see the movies. Without a Thanos on the horizon, I think it is a question of whether people will lose interest.
I think so too. I also think it's a question when we're getting rid of all the old guard.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Precisely.
I guess we still don't know for sure.
We can be pretty sure that if we're not getting rid of all the old guard,
there will not be an Iron Man 4.
We're at least not going to feature them as prominently, right? You can be pretty sure you're not going to see Chris Evans play Captain America anymore. The way he's been talking, you can also be pretty sure because of the way he's been talking that he doesn't get killed off in the next movie. Mm. But he keeps saying I might come back at some point, but I'm done for now. And or I might come back in a cameo capacity or a guest star kind of thing. But he wants to do other movies.
There's not going to be a Captain America 4. And there probably won't be a Captain America majorly featured in Avengers.
And he and Tom Holland are about to do a Netflix movie together. I don't know if you know about
cool.
that.
I didn't know that.
But he's wanting to go off and do some other things, and he hasn't been in hardly anything besides the Marvel.
Well, and he
was
threatening. He was threatening for a while. He wanted to be a director, and this movie came out and it didn't do great.
Yeah.
So he kind of eased up on that, but yeah, he wants to go and do other things.
Sure. So anyway, it is a little bit. I think the future is uncertain with Marvel. I don't think they're as much in the can do no wrong place. They haven't had a dud yet. They haven't had a movie that's not performed. Mm-hmm. They've had movies that weren't critically loved. They had Dark World and
The Ant-Mans, I don't think are super... Like those aren't like 90% movies on Rotten
Again,
Tomatoes.
they're not loved, but they're not panned either. I think Dark World is really the only one that people just
and Dark
really,
World
really
wasn't
don't
the
like.
time.
Like, you and I didn't love Ragnarok, but it was well-liked, and it was rated pretty high.
Well, Dark World, I think, was kind of like Phantom Menace, where, like, it is now the, like look back on as, like, the bad one.
You're saying at the time it didn't
but
even have that problem.
people are like, it's not great, but, like, it's alright. I feel like only
Well,
over...
2 has that, too.
Yeah. Only over time did people look back and be like, this sucks.
But just looking at the money train, it's never stopped. But the question is, does it have the potential to start to at least slow down a little bit? And
I think it has the potential
you're
to start...
hearing a lot of lukewarm reaction with the Captain Marvel trailers. And that could be the beginning of it beginning to wane. Or you could start to see, like a splintered fan base. You could start, or not even that. You could start to see, or I guess a splintered slate, right? Where you have some movies, some franchises that do really well, and other ones that are kind of duds now. And, like, Black Panther just got nominated for 7 Oscars. So all of Marvel could fall apart. It's in good shape for right now.
Yeah.
But like, we don't even think of the Marvel movies as, like, separate franchises. We could begin to
No,
some degree.
no, we could. Like that's... Honestly, I think in the next couple of years, Marvel will become more hit or miss. Or will be perceived as more hit or miss.
Yeah.
Because even if... Let's say Captain Marvel's not terrible, but, like, it's kind of underwhelming. I could see them doing things like that where, like, Black Panther's great, and, like, Captain Marvel's just okay, but, like, because of that contrast, people start being like, well, Marvel has their good movies and they're bad, because we're all or nothing.
Yeah.
And I do think that some of the movies that I take issue with, I think could become more of a problem if they become more prevalent, like Doctor Strange. Like, if you make another Doctor Strange, and you're more hit or miss...
Which we know for sure is happening.
I don't mean Doctor Strange 2. I mean if you make another movie like Doctor Strange,
yes.
and you as a... And it's not every single one's a hit, I think a movie like Doctor Strange could look bad to other people.
Movies like that are doing better than maybe sometimes they even deserve to.
Because they're being carried by the franchise.
Right.
But
by the studio, that is also a franchise.
It's like Iron Man 2, where he says there's blood in the water and the sharks will come.
Yeah. Sure.
I think if Marvel... I think the second Marvel, especially if it happens like at least twice in one year,
or in a row.
In a row, if Marvel puts out 2 movies that are not super well received, I think you could
People
start
will
to
get
see...
more critical.
I think yes.
And you hear some people that don't love even the movies that are like beloved say like, look, nobody's critical of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's looking at the flaws.
People have been saying that since very early on.
Yeah. So the bigger question here then, now that we've established that, is does Marvel have to be working on all cylinders? Does it have to be popular to the nines like it has been for superhero as a genre to continue to be on top of of cinema in general like it has been?
I think you could see something very interesting if looking at Aquaman. If DC starts taking its more directorial approach and you start getting some like real movies, like if Joker feels like something of like Scorsese quality.
If we get some Dark Knights again.
If you get some Dark Knights, I think
that
superheroes can keep going around. But maybe they don't say the big popcorn pleasers. Maybe we will not make it out of this decade and superheroes are still the dominant box office. We always talk about most blockbusters at this point are superhero movies and movies failing to compete with superhero movies.
Right.
That will not be the case in 2030. I don't think. I think superhero movies will still be around.
So you mean next decade won't be like that?
I'm saying by the end of 20
of the next decade.
Yes.
Because it's 2019 right now.
It's 2019.
The end of this decade is next year.
Yeah. So not this decade.
Yeah.
But by the time we get to 2030, superheroes will not be the predominant. I don't think they'll go away. I think
it'll be the Western. You don't think it'll be overnight? Suddenly nobody cares.
But I can also see by that point, especially with DC doing, if DC's
that's not exactly what happened with the Western either. But I don't think it'll be as dramatic. As quickly.
But also, if DC starts doing what they say they're doing, and maybe some other companies jump in on this too, I could see, by the time we get to 2030, we finally get what I want, which is really diverse superhero movies.
Yeah, sure.
Like, we'll have a lot of adult and kid-friendly and in-between.
Maybe to the point where it doesn't even matter that they were superhero things in the first place. Where it doesn't even matter that was the source material, where we could get to a point where you're not even thinking of them as much as superhero movies, and it's finally what people who are kind of anti-Marvel are looking for, which is getting completely away from the 3-act, you get to the end and there's a bunch of explosions kind of formula. And it does seem like some of the movies that DC has hired, I don't want to give them any credit at all. Some of the movies that DC, or that Warner...
It's Warner Brothers. Don't throw shade on DC. It's Warner Brothers fair, yeah. That's the bad guy here.
Some of the movies that Warner Brothers has hired directors to make seem to be going more in that direction. Like this, now I don't know if the Joker movie will be any good, but it's nice to see them attempting something different.
Yeah. If Birds of Prey's title is just a huge mistake, and it's not just an awful Deadpool ripoff like it sounds like it is.
Yeah.
An R-rated superhero movie, like if that's, it won't be. But if let's pretend in a world that that's not going to be the worst thing ever. If that's like a real hardcore like R-rated like superhero, like almost like Watchmen, not like sophisticated like Watchmen, but like that's the serious superhero R-rated superhero movie, and it's not fun, but it's also not as jokey as Marvel is. Like that could be something, right?
No, absolutely, and I think variety is the name of the game here. Like
I think that's what keeps superheroes afloat.
Case scenario is and I think that helps the movie industry en masse. I think superheroes becoming thought of less as a here's what the formula is, and more what I mean is, if superhero is not the umbrella that it is right now, and we start to go back looking at the individual genres again, and we're putting out spy thrillers, and some of them happen to be based on superhero things, and we're putting out science fiction films, and some of them happen to be based on superhero things. That's good for every other kind of movie, because now you don't have to be a superhero thing to be as popular, and we get more John Wicks and things like that. And that would be great for the industry on the whole.
I think the thing that Marvel's done that because it's all about like in the beginning it's a breath of fresh air and then it becomes routine. Yes. The thing that Marvel has done is all the Marvel movies kind of feel the same in a certain way, and I think a lot of people, especially people that don't,
a lot of them do.
Yeah. And I think people that don't love the Marvel movies, like they feel like corporate products. Yeah. They feel very
that's exactly
assembly line.
And Disney owning everything gives you reason to worry that will continue.
Yes.
And I think Disney will keep trying that until it stops working.
Could
it flip? Could we get to the point where Warner's is making more movies people care about because they're not doing the shared universe thing, because they're just making movies? Because if they stick to their guns, we'll talk about this in the news later. The DCEU is apparently officially dead now, which
that's just not the direction they're going.
Could be great news.
Yes. I think what needs to happen, especially for superheroes to stay viable, kind of needs to be the death of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not literally, but
you mean we need to start making movies and not just make the next episode or something?
Well, and it needs to stop being superhero movies with this coloring on it. It needs to stop being a superhero spy movie, a superhero caper.
You say flip it.
Yes, it needs. It's what it sounds like. That's what Ben Affleck's Batman was going to be.
Yeah.
Is that it was going to be like a hardcore, like noir mystery
that
film
happened to use Batman.
That happened to use Batman. Yeah. That's the key, I think, to surviving as a genre. Is you have to stop starting with superhero and going. It's going to be a superhero corporate movie. It's going to be a superhero space movie.
But you can see why we're doing that, because when those movies were making and have been, I mean, they still are. Aquaman also made $1 billion. When those movies are making $1 billion, you're selling them that way because that audience is going to go see them.
Yes.
So of course you're doing that.
But the audience is going to get used to them.
Yeah. I'm surprised. A lot of people are surprised it hasn't happened yet.
It's because Thanos has been coming.
I think it's because we were waiting for a thing to happen, and we have like 1 minute left. But I want to bring this up too, and then the question is,
I think Endgame's going to be the end game for a lot of casual fans.
Yeah, that's completely, especially if they don't like it,
or like it's not like they'll stop liking Marvel movies, but they'll stop being a priority. They don't have to go see them. I'll catch up with it.
But what I'm saying is, if they don't like Endgame, they could be done with Marvel.
That's true.
But I also want to ask you this question real quick in the 30 seconds we have remaining. How does it affect TV? I wonder if Marvel has to be on top for the CW thing to work. Because
think
we're
it does.
all about shared universes
I think
right
it
now.
does.
And I think if what we're talking about could come to pass, we're not going to be as obsessed with shared universes. I guess the question is, in the future, is it possible that we care more about individual movies again?
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
And then how does that
I really
affect
miss that.
television? Because I don't know that superheroes are... Like, I think the superhero thing on TV goes away before it does in movies.
I think so, too. I can also see superhero on TV having a life different... Because it's not like we're doing a bunch of shared universes on TV. It's just the CW stuff.
Yeah.
I could see... like, doing more of the things that we're talking about
And
with
if their version of
properties.
Crisis puts everything together... Well, this will have that, but it'll just be smaller.
Mm-hmm. But I do think that we'll see, like... or I think we could see more things like Daredevil and Luke Cage, but from, like, smaller properties, smaller companies and things like that.
That'd be great.
But, yeah, the CW bubble... here's the thing. Because I think CW... Their fan base is like teen girls. I'm not saying that the superhero shows. CW placates to the 14-year-old girl. Like it's a soap opera thing, right? Like those are the modern day soap operas.
But like a third to half of their shows are superhero shows now.
Right. But it's like soap operas with punching.
Yeah.
And so you're getting both young demographics.
I see.
You're getting young men and young women. I think youth is always changing. Trends are always changing. The superhero thing's going to burn
And
out
it's
with the youth
7
culture.
years old now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so what happens when you're...
It's going to be like Power Rangers, right? Like, people are going to grow up with it, and they're going to get tired of it, and they're going to leave.
I think so. Now, whether that gets replaced with other superhero things, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think the CW-verse is coming to a close within the next couple of years, whether they want to be or not.
Yeah.
I think that has been trendy, and it's going to come around and not be.
I don't know for sure, because I don't know what their numbers are exactly, and it seems like you can have pretty low ratings and stick around on CW.
Of course, it can also be like our version of Days of... like this generation's like Days of Our Lives. Like, those could go forever,
Yeah.
and like, everyone makes fun of people that watch them, but everyone secretly watches them.
And that's why I didn't want to immediately say, like, I agree with you, they'll probably be done in a couple of years. I think they either will, or they should be, but they keep forcing it to keep going.
I think they figured out the trick of making the like lowest brow, lowest common denominator thing for both genders.
That's a really good point.
We're making soap operas, but there's punching, and like we're making it for both people. And I don't know, maybe that's genius. Maybe that's genius.
On the other hand, I don't hear people talking about that stuff the way they used to.
No, I don't either. So maybe
Like I said,
maybe
I
the
should
trend
look
is
up
already flipping over.
But yeah, so we'll go ahead and move on to rants. We're interested to see you guys' comments and how long you think. I mean, I asked the question, like, how long does it have? And we didn't really give a number of years because we don't think it's going to suddenly fizzle out. We think it's going to transform.
Yeah.
We think it's going to evolve. And how long will it take? I think it just depends on what kind of movies Marvel makes.
Well, and I'm telling you, if I have an answer...
And Warner's and DC matters as well, but again, I just have a hard time telling how much of their success you can pin on Marvel.
If I have an answer, it's by the end of next decade, we will be in a different place.
Yes.
I don't know what place we will be in.
But you don't think it'll be like the dearth of superhero movies like Batman and Robin plays?
No. Although, I think there will be less superhero movies. But I don't know what... Because, can Marvel go backwards? Can Marvel move from 3 movies a year to 1 movie a year?
That's a great question.
Can that happen?
Well, I mean, Star Wars is already doing that.
That's true.
So I guess the answer is yes, they'll do it begrudgingly.
That's true. Well, and then what prioritizes those movies? Kevin Feige says they have a plan through 2025.
Sure.
So we'll see what that is.
And they might... I want to say they might surprise us and manage to keep as popular as they have been. I don't know how surprising that actually is. I don't know what's going to happen.
You know what? You know what might really anger people, or it might work completely, is if whatever comes after Thanos is set up in Endgame. If it's like, okay, so we beat Thanos, but the Annihilation Wave is coming, or like something like, I think that...
I still say it could be set up in Captain Marvel.
Sure.
And it could be a thing that has been coming since the 90s and nobody knew about.
I mean, I guess the obvious thing is the
Skrulls.
Secret Invasion, but
yeah,
I think that's a mistake if people don't try out in droves to Captain Marvel. You want your hook for the next 5 years to be an Endgame.
I also don't think it can be just in the background or you have no hook.
Well,
that's the other thing.
Well,
is
it could be an after credit scene.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is like, because I keep saying the Skrull thing could be like they introduced the Skrulls. but then they could just have characters through a bunch of movies for like the next phase be Skrulls and we don't know about it. But if they do that, and they're not making a big deal out of there is a secret invasion coming, then it's not a hook. They're not doing anything to keep people coming. So like that would be a really cool thing for them to do potentially, but it's not going to keep people around. So I don't know if they'll do that.
It's
you see what I'm saying?
Whatever. If they put a hook at the end of Endgame,
when your hook is a secret, how's it a hook?
I mean, you can let the audience in on things like all you have to do, right, is that the final credits is...
Well, and we have done that before.
The after the credits scene is like whoever the Avengers are at the end of Endgame are like together, and someone goes to the bathroom and their face turns into a Skrull. And you're like, oh no, there's a Skrull! But
and
that also doesn't feel like Thanos.
Who's a Skrull? But if you're supposed to spend the whole time wondering who you can trust, that could be interesting.
It could. I think whatever the hook is, because I'm sure there will be one, right? Like I'd be willing to almost bet money that we will set up the next 5 years in the end credits scene of Endgame. The question is audience reaction? This is the new thing I'm excited about, or is audience reaction like, we just finished with Thanos?
I don't want to be invested in this anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's a good question. We need to move on to rants. Eric, what would you like to rant about today, sir?
So I want to rant about something I think I've talked about before. I don't think I've ever as a rant. Probably in news, and I've probably talked about it After Dark, but something I was thinking about, because I remembered something that I hadn't thought about in like 5 years, which is, if you're excited about a trailer, you are allowed to be excited. If you are negative about the trailer, you shut up, you're judging it on nothing.
Unless the whole universe has come together and said, this is going to be bad.
What made me think of this is, I remembered this quote.
You're saying that's a double standard?
I think it's a huge double standard. If you can't judge a trailer, if you can't judge a trailer for thinking a movie looks bad, you also can't judge a trailer for thinking a movie looks good, in my opinion. What made me remember, or what made me start thinking about this was I remember this quote from Anne Hathaway before Dark Knight Rises. Do you remember when the pictures leaked of her in the Catwoman costume?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, I don't know about that. And her response was, for everyone that hates it, just wait and see it in context.
Yeah.
For everyone that loves it, you have great taste.
Oh. And you don't like that.
How can it be both?
Yeah. You're just like, well, but you're also not seeing it in context. Like, now you could say that something as superficial as what the costume looks like doesn't necessarily need context. Like, I guess the rebuttal, I tend to agree with you. But perhaps the rebuttal is, have you ever had a situation where you've looked at it, when we're just talking about the aesthetic of something, have you ever had a situation where you've looked at something in a trailer and you said, that looks awesome, and then you went to the theater, well, in context it looks terrible. I can't think of one time I've ever had that.
I've had that with lines.
Sure, but you're talking about aesthetics when you're talking about the Hathaway
quote. Sure.
So I think her quote makes more sense than it would have if you were talking about a line of dialogue.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because what is the situation going to be where a person that says that costume looks great, and then they go in and they see the movie, they go, oh, never mind, it's terrible.
No, I have that.
Okay.
I've absolutely had that.
Okay, go ahead.
In Dark Knight Rises, that Batman suit looks awful when it's lit. I thought it looked cool. I feel like there's another one that I had that. There's definitely Captain America's costume. Captain America's costume in First Avenger, I thought looked perfect. Seeing it in movement, it's too bulky and it looks bad.
Well, okay, that's fair. But in a trailer, you are seeing it in movement. So unless it's lit a lot differently and moves differently in a lot of them, I'm just saying, this happens
but it's all quick cutting. You're not living with it.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
I think if you
I think my point still stands to some degree. Like
you're not necessarily wrong. But I think if you're going to lose your mind about a trailer and how awesome it is, you do not get to criticize people who think the trailer doesn't look awesome. I don't think.
Yeah, the double standard to me is if you're positive on it, it is okay that you're assuming that everything that you're seeing is exactly what you think it is. Mm-hmm. But if you think it looks bad, then you're making too many assumptions. That's what you're saying. The thing is, all the awesome stuff you're seeing could also not be because
also,
as I always say,
Ragnarok,
trailers aren't there to tell you what the movie is. They're there to get you to go. So if you are freaking out, losing your mind, unless the movie is exactly what you thought it was going to be, you have been duped. You've been sold a bill of goods.
Also, Thor Ragnarok. I saw that trailer. I was like, it looks metal.
Yeah.
I went and saw that movie. It was not metal.
Exactly what we thought it was going to be. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's bogus. I don't if.
Which is why I always say when I see a trailer and if I'm excited or not,
We'll see.
looking forward to it. Yeah, I say we'll see, but I also say that's great if it's what I think it is.
Yeah.
That's awful if it's what I think it is. And how often have we seen you mentioned that lines of dialogue? How often have we heard a dialogue where we're like, I can't imagine the context where I'm okay with that. You see the movie? Okay, I was okay with that.
We had that with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
We had that with Wonder Woman. So yeah, I think that's bogus. I think if you're losing your mind about a trailer and then you're going to go complain about somebody who's not, that's double standard.
Yeah, they cut what is, in my opinion, they cut a trailer for what is, in my opinion, a pretty thoughtful Wonder Woman movie with the way it handles gender issues and stuff to look more pandery.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What is your rant?
My rant is, this will be real quick, so don't you hate it when you see in an article, where you see a headline, and it looks like good news, and then you read the article, and it is good news for other people, but not for you?
I can't immediately picture this scenario.
This is a real specific thing I'm talking about, but, so I'm trying to
The Tick is coming back as the mascot for a football team. Like that?
Hulu just dropped their price,
Oh, that's great.
but not for me.
Why not?
Because they only drop their base price. So
Oh.
if you are subscribed to just regular Hulu without ads, they drop the price. I think by like $2 or
With
even
ads.
$4.
Regular Hulu with ads.
With ads. I'm sorry, that's what
Yeah.
I meant to say. Yeah. It's going to be a lot less expensive. But if you pay for ads, they're not dropping that price, so you're going to have to pay like twice to get it without ads now, which is weird. But worse, I'm now paying for Hulu with live TV. And in order to make up for some of the cost, some of their expense in dropping the base line, they raised the price on live TV. I think that's obnoxious. And it's not just because I'm paying for it. So it's $40 a month right now. It's annoying to me because I just started paying for it, and immediately my price is going to go up. I feel like I'm paying for cable again. It's $40 a month right now. It's going to be $45. They're raising it $5 whole. If you're dropping the price for base Hulu, shouldn't you be confident enough in that to think that you might make it up with all the new people that you'll get to come? Isn't that the whole reason you drop the price? To get new people to come in?
You're robbing from the rich to give to the poor. That's what you're doing there.
Yeah, I don't like it, man. And again, part of it's because I'm having to pay more, but also you immediately don't look very confident in your business plan.
No, I think there's a modern day sensibilities thing at play there. I think it's Hulu is next to like a God-given right at this point, along with Netflix, and so we're going to lower it so even more people who don't have money can have access to our service. But if you have enough money to pay $40 a month, you have enough money to pay $45 a month.
I just feel like that's...
I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm saying I think that's the idea.
Okay, but don't you think that's going to be enough to make up for the cost? And don't you think that some people, just on principle, might be annoyed enough that they'll stop paying for that?
That's $60 extra a year.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like some of us are gonna say, yeah, I just don't like that you suddenly raised the price on me. And I'm just saying, I think they'll lose more money than they'll gain. Well, maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say. But like,
are you going to drop it over $5?
Well, not right now. I mean,
okay.
I don't like it. It irritates me. A part of me wants to drop it, but I don't have a better alternative besides getting cable.
They know that.
Which I'm not. Yeah, and they know that. No, it's not. I don't know. I don't like it. I think that's irritating. I'm mostly just complaining that my price is going up.
It's cyberpunk. High-tech low life.
It's worse news for me because if they just said, okay, we're raising the price for live TV $5, I don't think I would be as irked as I am that if I was still at the bottom tier, I'd be saving money.
Okay, wait. So I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Are they? Did they make that correlation? Did they say we are raising this because we are lowering this, or did they say we're lowering this, we're raising this, and you're reading between the lines?
I mean, I read an article that's reading between the
Okay.
lines.
Okay.
So.
I was just curious. I was just curious if they specifically said.
Well,
that.
I say that's maybe reading between the lines. I'm not sure if the article was speculating or if they were, I can't remember, or if they were like quoting the CEO saying that's why they did it.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember.
Okay.
There, I think, are quotes from the CEO in that article.
Okay.
So I actually don't know.
Okay.
But that is a totally fair question.
Just curious.
So anyway, that's my rant. Well, folks, thanks a lot for watching. Sure appreciate it. We're going to move on now on the Omnibus to the Comic Vault. And we're going to do a couple of different vaults today. Actually, you know what? We're probably going to do 3 vaults today because we have so much to cover.
Ultimania.
Yeah. We're going to do some Tom King Batman. We're going to do Crisis on Infinite Earths. Eric has some solo stuff to talk about. I have some recent back issues to talk about. All of that and more coming up your way. More Geekvolution Omnibus. Keep watching, won't you? And leave your comments. Let us know what you thought about today's topic and how long you think superhero movies will stay on top. And if you think, if you disagree with us, that at some point it's just going to completely drop and nobody's going to care about them anymore. Thanks a lot for watching.
Or if you think that it's going nowhere.
Yeah, that it's going to say.
It's going to say exactly like this. DC's going to suck. Everyone's going to hate it. Marvel's going to be on top.
Well, or even not even necessarily that DC sucks, because remember, Aquaman just blew up everything.
It's true.
And what does the future look like when Aquaman beats Dark Knight Rises? Like, it's crazy. We'll talk about that on the news today, too. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
We'll see you later, folks.